Hey man, what's going on? You're on mute. There we
I know,
go.
I saw that. Gotta love live, right? Awesome.
Hey,
Thank you,
gotta
Rich.
love live radio, right?
Exactly. This is my man, Big Rich. You can find us. This is my battery mate of Driver to the Top Productions. You can find us every Tuesday on our open mic segment at 9:00 on Tuesdays. Also, I also have another gentleman, Big Mike McCarthy, host of The Run-In. How we doing, Mike?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Also, too, happy birthday, my man.
Thank you very much.
Also, too, I have my man Vinny from Suds in the Squared Circle.
Hey, what's up, Joe? I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. And also, too, my friend for all things Baltimore sports, you can catch him on his podcast weekly. My man Matt, also from Driver to the Top Production as well. How we doing, Matt?
What's going on, John? Thanks for having me on, man.
No, appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming on. Obviously, I was on mute, so let me repeat what I said. AEW All In, awesome pay-per-view this past Sunday. But this weekend coming up is a huge weekend for WWE in Berlin, with Bash in Berlin, and also in we have on NXT, we have No Mercy as well. So with that being said, let's start with NXT and the No Mercy pay-per-view card. I'll just start in no particular order on a match. We'll talk about it. We'll just go around the room what everybody thinks the outcome is going to be. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Good.
Awesome. So one of the first matches they have for No Mercy is Wendy Chu and Kalani Jordan. This is for the women's North American title. Wendy Chu, if you guys have been watching NXT, has gone from a sleepy face, baby face kind of person to a now demonic, nightmarish, sleepy person coming out all black pillow, kind of raising hell for a lot of the divas and the women's performers over at NXT. Kalani Jordan's had a lot of great defenses so far. She's done great since winning the inaugural belt about 2 months ago. But this is one of her toughest matches. Wendy Chu's being built up as obviously somebody who's a little unstoppable, has some extraordinary kind of skills to get the job done. So I have Wendy Chu going over here, I think, with the new gimmick. Have her have a little bit of a run with the belt. Kalani's done great. I think she's been an underdog champion a lot of her matches for the past couple months, and I think this is kind of the one where she's going to give it up, and I think Wendy's going to be the person to do that. So we'll start with Matt. Go around the room.
I tend to agree with what you're saying, John. Wendy might be another typical placeholder. I know she's got the new gimmick, so they might give her a run with the title with the new gimmick. Kalani's been a good inaugural champion in a fantastic ladder match from earlier in the summer. I just think with all the women that have signed in WWE and all the women that are coming back from injury, the mid-card title is going to get a little crowded, as well as the women's championship for NXT. So I think that this might be another situation where Chu will take the title, but I think it's not going to be for a very long time considering what's coming down the pipeline.
All right. Rich?
Do you get the feeling from just the whole deal with this title from the very beginning that's going to be one that's kind of like the Intercontinental used to be, where it bounces around from person to person to person to person, and nobody really holds it for a long time? I agree with Matt. I think that Wendy pulls this thing off, but I don't even think she holds on to it that long. I just don't see anybody getting that 6, 8, 12-month reign with this thing. It's going to be 60 days at most.
No, I agree with that too. I think this is also like one of those experimental things where let's see how the mid-card women's title works down NXT, and maybe it's something that we move up to the WWE main roster on Raw or SmackDown, maybe. So, Vinny, what do you think?
I'm kind of torn. I like the new gimmick for Wendy, but I got to go with Kalani here because she has been a great title holder. She's got the athleticism. She was one of the NIL alumni and down at the Performance Center. I got to go with Kalani here. I think she keeps the title and it builds some credibility towards it instead of passing it around like a hot potato.
Awesome. Mike, what do we think?
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of see Wendy taking it. Kind of what you guys had said prior. I don't know how long she holds on to it. I don't know. I don't think it'll be a particularly long run. But with everything that she's had going on with Tatum Paxley over the past few weeks, with them kind of going at each other, I think that sets up for a really cool style match for maybe a Halloween Havoc between Tatum Paxley and Wendy Chu, just to kind of take on that spooky kind of emo kind of gimmick for that pay-per-view would be perfect. So I think that sets that up. So I think Wendy Chu takes it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think too, like Rich said too, I think it's one of those titles where we give it to somebody, give them a little bit of taste of being a champion, being chased by others and defending the title, as opposed to being the chaser for a belt. So I think it's something that 1 or 2 months and then pass it on to somebody else. So after that match, we'll stay with the North American title. On the men's side, we have Tony D'Angelo and Obafemi going for that belt. Obafemi has been an amazing champion since winning this belt. Almost, may I say, unstoppable over his run right now in NXT. Can't wait to see him in the main roster, but that's down the road, obviously. But I think if the way they've been booking things, I've been a Tony D'Angelo fan ever since he debuted with the whole gimmick, the whole, the family, building that up with Luca now and, having everybody with him. Having the run with the Heritage Cup and then jumping him into this, I think they're trying to fast track someone like Tony. I think it's a little bit of a fast track. He's great on the mic. He has the great stable, great gimmick, great in the ring. He's got a lot better. Lost a little bit of weight, put a little bit more muscle on, so looking a little better as well. And obviously too, the one thing that he has in this whole match that Oma doesn't have is he has the family for obviously some nefarious tactics outside of the ring could play a part. I'm going to go with the upset. I think Tony D'Angelo wins it here. I know he just came off being Heritage Cup champion, but it's also not a title. But I think Tony D wins it here. What do you think, Mike?
You'll learn from me if you ever watch my podcast that I am probably the biggest Obafemi fan. So I'm never going to go against Obafemi at this point. I would love to see him get that Keith Lee run, or some of the guys that have had the North American and the world title in NXT. Just to kind of build him up. So I'm definitely going to win with Obafemi.
All right, awesome. Vinny, what do you think?
I got to agree with you about Tony D'Angelo. I think Obafemi has been such an unstoppable force that it's going to take an entire family to put him down. And that's what I think is going to take place. And that's only to keep Oba strong, is that it's going to take multiple people to beat him.
No, I agree. He loses, but it took how many people?
Exactly.
They know how many. We know how many they're going to use, and that's what it took to him. But I think again with the Oba's been phenomenal. I'd love to see him have that run as well. But he's one of those guys where I don't know if they're going to wait till the draft, but he's definitely going to be an NXT champion before WrestleMania. So I think he gets that call up after WrestleMania as they flip to the new year. Matt, what do you think?
I'm going to go a little bit old school in my answer. I believe that Obafemi is going to get a similar NXT push that Kevin Owens got. I know there's a lesser title involved, but I truly believe that Oba is going to win. I think it's going to be convincing, and I truly don't see him eating a pin until it is a foregone conclusion that he is headed to Raw or SmackDown.
Okay.
He's physically more imposing and more dominant than Braun Breaker, just not as athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, so I see him being the North American champion for a while. And like Rich was saying, Mike was saying holding two belts simultaneously, the World Championship and the NXT North American Championship. I think that he can be that kind of guy to where he's believable because he's an absolute monster.
Agreed. Absolutely. I don't think anyone's done it since Keith Lee, right? I think he's been the only one.
I believe so.
Did Adam Cole do it for a second, or was that before Keith Lee maybe?
No, Cole.
Adam Cole got the North American title after losing the NXT title.
Yep. Rich, how say you? How you see it going down?
I got to kind of agree with what Matt's saying. They're making Obafemi look like this unstoppable beast, kind of like what they're doing. And I realize it's a completely different build and everything, but kind of like what they're doing currently on Raw with Bronson Reed, where this guy is just going to be unstoppable. He's got the title. You're going to have to beat him to death, literally break his leg off and beat him with it to get him down. And even with the family, I think he overcomes, in essence, a 4 or 5-on-1 type of scenario, holds on to this thing, and does continue to hold it until he goes up to Raw or SmackDown.
Those are all good, really good takes. Again, I mean, I'm a guy. I'm kind of like a little biased to D'Angelo. I like him. You're saying with Obafemi, you're never going to bet against him. Just something about the way they've been doing the booking with D'Angelo, almost like getting him ready for this. And maybe they have some plans with Oba moving forward to go for an NXT title run. Have him have that long run going into Stand and Deliver next year, and then until the draft starts, maybe have him be that strong of an NXT champion. But obviously, right now the class is very full up with the NXT championship at the moment. So getting out of singles competition for a minute, let's go into the tag team title match. Chase U versus with Axiom and Frazier. I think this is where first of all, I think it's gonna be Chase U that goes over. That's my personal, because they've teased it for about 2.5 months now with each one going for speed titles, being late, not being on time, quote unquote, not being on the same page, but actually being on the same page. I think this is might where you see the frustration start to eke out starting on Sunday. And then going forward the next couple of weeks, where Axiom and Frazier kind of implode on each other and end up having a singles match and breaking up that tag team. They're amazing together. I'd hate to see it, but I feel like they've already kind of teased a little bit, got them back together, have them going for this title opportunity, but Chase U coming out on top and them kind of starting to question each other and then imploding down the road. So I have Chase U winning it. Rich, how you see things going down?
Yeah, I think Chase U is going to hold on to this. They didn't just give it to, have them get it to give it up. I think this is going to be one of those deals where Chase U ends up finding a way to win for quite a while here. They're not obviously the biggest team. They're not the fastest team. They're not the most athletic team, but they are the team that has got the titles at the moment and taking advantage of opportunity. And they're going to get, like you were saying, if you have an implosion of the opposing team, there's an opportunity. Boom, get the 1, 2, 3, and whatever, as that moves on in their reign. I've got Chase U winning it. They've been, if you look at what they've done with Chase U from the very beginning of it, it was kind of just that, almost like the Spirits. I thought the Spirit Squad when they first put this thing together, and I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it hasn't. Fortunately, it hasn't been the Spirit Squad, but they have really gotten themselves some legs under them as a unit. They've had some people, of course, go in and out, but I really think this is going to be one of those that Chase U wins and continues finding ways to win for the next few months.
No, I can agree with that. I think they also did that to them. I think it was 2 months ago. They won 1 week, and then there's a pay-per-view where it was one of the in-week pay-per-views that they do. And I think they dropped it like 2 weeks later as tag champs. So I think this is definitely gonna be a more lengthy run for them. Vinny, how you see it going down?
It's weird because I would have thought that this would have been Ridge Holland turning on Chase U. And then, Axiom and Frazier getting the titles back. But I could kind of see it going either way, or either team breaking up for that matter. I agree with the teasing between Axiom and Frazier because they haven't been on the same page at all. So I have to err on the side of Chase U to win this, and I just hope that Ridge Holland is in it for the long term instead of just like he used Andre Chase to get the title and then he's going to turn on him.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, Holland tried everything he could for weeks to finally get it and be accepted by them. So that'd be wild to see him finally flip and turn on them once he gets the gold.
Yeah.
Mike, how do you see everything going, man?
I've got Chase U as well. I mean, I could definitely see what you're saying about maybe an implosion of Chase U down the road. I don't think it would be Ridge Holland. I think it would be the other two, Duke Hudson and was it Evan Bourne, I think. But maybe they get jealous and turn eventually, but I think that's further down the road. They've been so kind of start-stop with Chase U. They deserve a long run. They've been really good. And I with everything with Axiom and Frazier, I could definitely see what you guys were saying about them imploding because they've been teasing that for a while now.
Absolutely. Matt, how say you?
I believe I'm gonna kind of round it out here. I believe that Chase U goes over. I will say this for the record: I am not a Chase U fan. I just think that I think that with the current structure of NXT right now, they're a little bit too hokey. Um, I would even just venture to say the same thing with Wendy Chu, because I don't believe that they will translate to the main roster. They might be a forever NXT kind of deal. And actually, my phrase just kind of run its course. I do believe, like you said, they're going to head for a singles match, which should be really good. But I do got Chase U getting a lengthy run. I'll admit I'm a little bitter. I'm a Good Brothers fan, so yeah, there's that.
That needs to be studied, man. I don't know what they were on there. They just fell off the cliff. Like, it was rough how they were the booking just stopped.
They're getting paid a lot of money to live in Florida right now.
Exactly.
Dude, for real. I'm like, man, that's talk about living your best life. You show up and you're on Tuesdays getting paid to be on like you're on Raw. It's wild. Like, but I also agree the singles match between Axiom and Frazier is going to be a banger. Those guys can go, and against each other is going to be even better.
Excuse me.
So talking about that, let's go over to the ladies. Jada Parker, Roxanne Perez for the women's title in NXT. I'm a Jada Parker fan. I have been since she's came out. I love the Rock's run. I love it. Again, a little bit of an underdog. I know her size. A lot of people point to that, but all comers, she finds a way to win. She gets it done. I think a lot of times I pick against her in a lot of these PLEs. But she's gotten it done. She's had a great run. But again, I look at the booking and you look at down the road, look at the time of the year. September's right around the corner. It's on September 1st. You got to start looking how who's going to be in the Rumble, who's going to be a stand and deliver, where these storylines going to start going, how we're going to start shaping that moving on. Rox has had a great run. I think it's been like a 215 day run. It's not anywhere close to being an Asuka or anyone like that or a Shayna Baszler, but she's definitely up there having a good run with this. I think someone like Jada Parker comes around and gets the belt, but Rox is also someone who can also chase for that belt, get rematches, do some other things, and still be strong as a heel. Maybe even go back to a babyface at some point if needed. But I think Jada Parker gets the win here. What do you think, Vinny?
I got to go with Jada Parker as well, but for a different reason. I think Roxanne Perez is on her way up to the main roster. Over WrestleMania weekend, she did have the match at the Raw after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really feel like she's main roster bound. So, it's time to take the title off of her, give the title to Jada Parker, and get Roxanne ready for the main roster.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know. I know we're at a time like, VKM would pull people up whenever he wanted, and Trips would do it too. But I feel like now, I don't know if they're pulling the trigger on this stuff now, if they're waiting till WrestleMania after WrestleMania for the draft, or if they're doing that. I know like after WrestleMania, they did like a 2-3 month thing where they signed Braun free agents and things like that. So I don't know if they're doing that before WrestleMania, but if they are, I definitely agree. Roxanne Perez is definitely ready to get the call up and showcase her talents up on Raw and or SmackDown. Rich, how do you feel about everything?
I've got Roxanne Perez winning this thing. I mean, I know that she's going to go up to the main roster at some point, but you also got to look at the point of if you bring her up today, where does she go? Where does she go that she doesn't just get lost in the shuffle of something, or you're not going to have a tag team for her? The title picture is pretty well cut and dry right now. SmackDown, you've got the whole thing with Nia and Tiffany Stratton. There's really no place to put her. So if you can leave her in NXT, let her blossom in that spot and continue to grow until you get to the Rumble, until you get to a point where you can actually have her involved with something. Maybe it's even with a returning Charlotte Flair or something like that. Once she gets up to the roster, she's got to have something going, like they did with Breaker, like they did with these other guys, a lot of these other guys they brought up. Carmelo Hayes, but they've got to have a spot for her, and I don't think they do right now. So that's why I think you keep the title on Roxanne and let her keep cruising along until close to the first of the year.
No, that's awesome. You don't want to come up too soon and get lost in the sauce, and then it's like you got to try to pull them out of that and give them. Now you're throwing gimmicks. You're almost doing what a Carrion did. Well, Vince screwed all that up anyway. If you start throwing stuff against the wall, or what will work. So I totally agree with that. You want her to be strong, come up on a good note. Mike, how do you see everything going down?
Kind of to piggyback off of Rich, I think Roxanne takes it, for partly the same reason. There's not a whole lot of room on in the title pictures there, and it would be a shame just to bring her up to be a jobber. I think you let her stay, let her hold the title for a while. We've been hearing all summer about the Julia match that they've been teasing and talking about. She's even mentioned it. Now Julia's officially done with Marigold. She made the announcement, a week or two ago that she's done there. So, that's getting set up where she can come in and we can finally have that match that we've been talking about. It seems like all summer. And then maybe wait until around WrestleMania Royal Rumble. We talked about a mid-card title in the women's scene in the main event and the main roster. Maybe you debut that and have a ladder match or something where you can bring a couple of these NXT ladies up who are ready, like her, maybe a Cora Jade at that point where she comes back, after her injury, things like that, to where you have more room for that kind of thing, bringing in, and they just don't get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, Cora Jade, when she comes back, her run is going to be awesome. Like she was going on a tear before she got hurt. Like coming back, she's going to be awesome being on the NXT brand. She's definitely going to be main roster bound sooner than later. Absolutely. Matt, how do you see it all going down, man?
Jada should win, but I think it's going to be Roxanne. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what everybody else was saying. I do disagree with one thing about Roxanne's place on the main roster. Now, I know right now Rhea and Liv are dominating Raw, and Tiffany and Nia are dominating SmackDown. I think if you're going to throw Roxanne anywhere, I think keeping her on USA might be a little bit of a benefit than, having her jump over to the Netflix only, because I don't think the viewership's going to fall off. That's another discussion, but she's already on USA. She's a prominent figure, so people that are tuning in for NXT are going to tune in when SmackDown is on Friday nights or whatever night they put it on. I think that she would be a solid foil, like debuting superstar on the main brand on SmackDown. So I could see her going there, potentially, set it up at the Royal Rumble. But what do you do for 3 months with her while that happens? So I understand the argument on both sides. But I think Jada, you're investing in your NIL people now, and you put the mid-card title on Kalani, pull the trigger, get Jada out there. She can wrestle, and she's got everything that they're looking for, and I believe that she could have a solid run. You'll get a match with Cora when she comes back. Julia's coming in. Steph Van Kerr's coming in. Nikita will be back soon. There's a lot of formidable matchups for her that you could get out of a Jada title run.
No, I agree. Both sides have very comparable arguments to as far as who wins it, who keeps it. And the biggest thing I think each of us touched on at some point. I mean, the people that are coming, this is even the full roster. There's so many people that are of such a high intensity and a high level that aren't even on the roster right now because they're injured and rehabbing. Like Nikita is going to be huge. Jade is going to be awesome. And not for nothing, I mean, it's not a bad problem to have, I guess. When you have a third brand like NXT, you have this much of a women's division that this is deep. At least you have 3 shows you can showcase them on at any given point. So with that being said, the cherry on top, the NXT title match is going to be Ethan Page and Joe Hendry. This is a weird match to me. Honestly, it could go either way. I feel like this isn't even a matter of who. It's a matter. I think WWE has a decision to make. Do you strike when the iron is this red hot? When you got a guy who's on your show weekly, he's on Thursday nights weekly. He's literally going to be on Emergence on Friday and then on NXT on Sunday. This guy's everywhere. He's only the one guy who's going between the two, using the PC like he's a regular WWE guy. Do you strike when the iron is this hot and throw the belt on Joe Hendry? And is that fair to Ethan Page? I think Ethan has gotten a lot better. Again, a lot of people that come over from the other company, they learn a lot more things here at the PC. They do promos, they do things in the ring. I think Ethan is slowly evolving his character to something a lot more of a higher level than what he was in AEW. But he did kind of liken it. In his promos, he's saying about people coming in that have been there for a cup of coffee. And there is a couple free agents right now that are rumored to be coming to the NXT brand the next couple weeks. could someone like that come out after Ethan defeats Joe Hendry and another newcomer challenges for his belt? So I'm going to say I think they stay with Ethan Page. I think that's the smart move. That's who you go with. Have him be a little more believable with his run and then give it up. But at the end of the day, do they strike when it's hot for Joe Hendry, as the guy is everywhere? His song is number 2 on charts. A wrestling theme hasn't been number 1 since the 90s in the Attitude Era, like with The Rock and other guys like that, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I think Ethan Page comes out here. Is that who I think is going to win? 95%. Joe Hendry could be the guy because of how the popularity and how he moves the needle, and he's transitional, so people tune in on Thursdays and help TNA. So with that being said, I'll throw it up to Mike first, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the hardest one to pick, in my opinion, because obviously with everything you said, with them wanting to get more eyeballs on TNA, because you've seen on the internet, a lot of people saying that, well, they haven't really done a lot for TNA. WWE had in this partnership. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is out there a lot. And I think putting this title on Joe Hendry, letting him taking it back and forth between a couple different brands, it really highlights that and really takes it to another level. I mean, you've got the whole Trick Williams of it all, who could, come in and cost, because he's kind of been entangled in it as well. So it gives a good reason where you don't really kill Ethan Page's momentum, where they can go have a match later on. But I mean, everything that I feel just tells me Joe Hendry's going to take it. And it's so up in the air. It's hard to pick. But I mean, just having to pick one or the other, I'll go with Joe Hendry.
Awesome. No, I agree too. And the thing as far as interference, if it's Trick too, because he has had beef with both guys. If there is someone who is a free agent, what's up?
He's a special guest referee.
Yeah.
So with that being if he doesn't have an interference or doesn't have anything to do with that, someone, let's say from AEW who's a free agent interferes, does something to Ethan Page, and that way at least Joe Hendry wins, and it's not so bad for Ethan as well. But I think like you said, there's a lot of avenues. It's kind of up in the air. I too, like I said, Joe Hendry, I feel like is what you do because you got to go with the momentum. But Rich, how you see everything going down?
Man, I've never been an Ethan Page guy. I'm sorry. I just have never been an Ethan Page guy. But should I be the one that breaks the trend on this thing? All right. I'll believe in Joe Hendry. The guy you can tell if you really go back and look a few months ago and see where he's at now. Tremendous improvement, not only in the ring, on doing everything that he's doing, personality wise, interaction wise. I think he'd be a very valuable crossover champion where he could be an NXT champion, but also going to TNA. Kind of the same way, similar but different, the way Jordan Grace brings that TNA Knockouts title over to NXT and defends it. Although that's my only catch to it is Shawn Michaels, WWE, Endeavor, whatever, willing to have a guy in another organization who is under contract to another organization carry the title. I'm still going to say Joe Hendry wins it, though.
Awesome. Very good points. Vinny, how you see it going?
I got to go with Joe Hendry on this one. And the reason being is that I know it's a risk that, WWE may be hesitant or Shawn Michaels may be hesitant to do. But at this point in time, Joe Hendry is just as much of an NXT star as Ethan Page. But the other thing is that Ethan Page was in TNA before AEW. So he has history there. Mm-hmm. So Joe Hendry can come in and win, and Ethan Page could easily go back down to TNA to say, hey, you took my title, I'm coming here to get it back. And you know what? Maybe it's about time to have the titles change hands to somebody. If they truly want to do a partnership and do it the right way, then have the champions, cross brand. I think it would be good for both NXT and TNA if Joe Hendry came out on top, because it solidifies the partnership and it kind of silences the people. Oh, well, WWE just in it for WWE, and they're not going to help out TNA in any way. I got to go with Joe Hendry on this one.
Awesome. No, good points. I think it's definitely time for those titles to kind of merge over. Somebody either from the gent from Chase U is over is in the Ultimate X match. It's also at Emergence on Friday. He could win that belt, bring it over to NXT, and let's say Joe Hendry wins on Sunday, brings it over to TNA from NXT. So a lot of opportunity for that. Matt, how you see it?
I think they keep it on Ethan Page, and I'm going to preface it by saying that I also am trying to get on the Ethan Page train. I think that he is everything you want in terms of look on the mic. His wrestling leaves a little bit to be desired. I don't think they're going to put the NXT title on a TNA wrestler. Look what TNA did when they put their main championship on Kenny Omega, and the fallout and the pieces that had to be picked up there. If you put the NXT title on a TNA talent, you're pretty much telling everybody in TNA that in NXT that is in the upper mid card to the main event scene that they're not worthy enough to hold their brand's title. And I don't think Michaels is gonna do that. I personally don't think Shawn Michaels will go as far as to book Hendry as the champion, even if it's for a short period of time. I understand the crossover appeal. I understand that TNA would benefit from it, but I'm gonna just call it how I see it. This right here was a litmus test for Hunter and Shawn, because when a lot of these TNA wrestlers are up on their contracts, they're giving them a taste of what they're going to get. Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry. I don't know how long their contracts are locked down for, but this just seems like long-term poaching. Even though I'm a fan of the crossover, I believe it's just long-term poaching because there's going to be no NXT wrestler that goes over to TNA and challenges Moose, or I'm sorry, Ziggler, Nemeth, whatever you want to call him. Nobody. Yeah. The last thing that Nemeth is going to do is drop the TNA title to an NXT wrestler when he was just in NXT about 18 months ago.
No, I agree with that. Being fresh out of WWE, it'd be weird for him to kind of give it back to somebody from WWE. The Omega thing, that partnership, again, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, there was a little bit ago. I think that was more so for Kenny to get over as the belt collector. The couple things that they did. This is a full. I mean, the Rascals and everybody else, and then Pac showing up for an open challenge for Jordan. I mean, it's a little bit different this time around. I think there's a lot more give and take for TNA to show up. It's more so NXT showing up on TNA, a little, and obviously a little bit of TNA showing up on NXT. I think it's a little more give and take at this. With Omega, it was like him walking around with 15 belts, and like, I'm the guy. But yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, Ethan could be the guy to keep going with it, but also what kind of message does that send to your roster when, hey, we're going to give it to a guy not even in this company? Yeah, he's over here. He shows up on our show, but he's not even contracted yet. We're going to give our belt to him. I totally get that. So that's going to be an awesome show. I'm excited for that. But before that, we have Bash in Berlin.
Oh, you got one
Saturday.
match.
What's up?
We missed one match. Wesley versus.
I'm sorry. What did I miss? The which one?
Wesley versus Zachary Wentz.
How did I forget? I apologize. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's not the biggest and most important match on the card, but it's got a lot of story.
That match is gonna be a banger. Those two in the ring is gonna be amazing. High flying, crazy stuff. Obviously, Wes being a heel now, it's good. I mean, I would see him going over here to kind of build on that momentum from what he did, turning on the Rascals. And kind of just go into this whole, like, screw you guys, screw everybody else. I'm in this for me now. So definitely Wesley at the end of the day. But it's, again, seeing TNA talent here, like seeing the crossover, having them compete on the pay-per-view, which is awesome. But I have Wesley going over here. What do you think, Rich?
I have it too. I think Wesley goes over. I see a lot more things down the line for Wesley. Maybe even getting back into the North American title picture or the NXT title picture. I just see this as kind of a little bit of maybe a stepping stone type thing to bigger things for Wesley.
Awesome. Vinny?
I could see it going either way. I agree that Wesley could use the win and to go over. But on the other hand, I could see Zachary Wentz winning, especially because of how he was let go from NXT, unceremoniously a couple of years ago, which is the basis of this story. Wesley saying that, Zachary Wentz abandoned him. So, I mean, I think I could see it going either way. And I'm gonna probably go out on a limb and say it's gonna be Wentz winning it.
Awesome. I like it. Matt?
I agree. I think Wentz takes it. Just to kind of add more edge to the Wesley heel run that's about to happen. I can see them running it back again in TNA and Wesley going over there and picking up the win. I think this is also another one of those things where they're going to kind of get a temperature check on how Wentz would be received on an NXT pay-per-view. And it's, kind of as the focal point against a WWE guy, considering he was released for something that, quite frankly, he shouldn't have been released for. Just, the whole cancel culture aspect of things like that. But I believe that Wentz takes it, and I think Wesley gets his back on it at TNA television down the line.
Good points. Good points. Mike?
I think it's got to be Wesley here. I think the whole reason Wentz came back, they wanted that pop with the Rascals reunion, but this was all to facilitate the heel turn, and to solidify it. After the loss to Obafemi, he was dejected. You had that roller coaster where he was really on a big high. When his friends came back, he was reunited. Now you've got the heel turn. To me, this is where it solidifies it. He turns, that last turn really just beats down Wentz, and I don't know if it's going to be as high flying as some of their matches probably could be because of that. I think he tries to do more of a harder style and maybe not as high flying, as heels normally would do. They would, they kind of take a lot of that part out of the game because it gets the crowd going. But I think this is Wesley's coming out party as a big time heel, and I think he takes it.
Awesome. No, I agree. That's why I think this is the big push that West needs. But also good call for Phoenix with the litmus test is here to see Zach back on NXT programming, back on and see how he's received in front of the crowd. I agree with that as well. So now with that being said, I apologize. I don't know how I missed that match. On Saturday, Bash of Berlin is on. Nice little card they put together so far. 5 matches. I mean, something could be announced on Friday night or something beforehand. But right now, I'll just start again. No particular order. We'll kind of work up to the main event. One of the first matches is for the ladies, the Unholy Union versus Jay Cargill and Bianca. Unholy Union has had a great run on all 3 brands, Raw, SmackDown, NXT. But I feel like Jade and Bianca aren't really doing anything without the belts. They kind of just show up on TV. They have the big 3 thing now. They're in the back talking, doing some stuff. They're obviously in matches, winning and stuff like that. I feel like they're not like successful and not as like main event-ish without those belts. I think this is where the Unholy Union had about a 3-month run with these. They did a great job winning at home, winning in front of the home crowd. It was a great feel-good moment for them. But I think this is where Jade and Bianca are going to take the titles back. Vinny, how do you see everything going down?
I gotta agree with you. I think Jade and Bianca need to win those titles back because eventually it's going to come to a split between them to build up for Bianca versus Jade at Mania. So I think the titles are gonna need to switch and that way so that when Bianca and Jade do lose the next time, that's going to facilitate the breakup.
No, absolutely. That's kind of I feel like that's going to be the payoff for WrestleMania. Yeah. Everyone's expecting these two to be facing each other on night 1 or night 2. Rich, how you see everything going down, my man?
See, the way I look at this whole event, there's got to be something that comes out of this thing that everybody's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into other stuff later on that we know ain't going to happen. But what could very easily happen in this thing is Bianca eats the pin. And Jade is like, what are you doing? You keep taking the pin. You keep losing. And then the turn actually takes place there. Okay. And we start building into this thing where they're already at each other, and the turn actually takes place on Saturday.
I like it. Pull the trigger a little early. I like that. Matt, how you seeing it?
I tend to agree with what's already been said. I think that Bianca eats the pin. That leads to them having a program later on down the line. I just don't see them getting the belts back.
All right, so taking the L on Unholy Union gets it. Mike, what do you think wins on Saturday?
I actually think Jade and Bianca take it. I mean, obviously you had when the Unholy Union won it, there was the three-way aspect, and that's kind of what they used to have that vehicle for Jade and Bianca to lose. Was the three team aspect, and that I think without that, with it just being a regular tag match, 2-on-2, I think they give it back to Jade and Bianca just to have them run for a little while. So, like you said, because they've got to be doing something to build up before. Because I agree, I think they're going to go with WrestleMania. But to build up to that, I think they let them have some good defenses, especially against some of the stronger teams that have come up now. You've got the, Shayna and Zoe. You've got, Io and Kyrie. A lot of good tag teams over on Raw. Some tag teams everywhere. I just think it's time to get them back, let them build up, and then eventually get to that turn to make it even bigger at WrestleMania.
Awesome.
I have the feeling the turn is going to happen at the Royal Rumble. In the Royal Rumble match.
Oh, okay. So one of them throws the other one out, or they just turn on each other just mid-match. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. No, I feel like obviously they came out hot, winning the titles. It was awesome, but now I just watch and it's like, yeah, I get the Naomi in there. It's a big three, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we got to make it make sense. To Mike's point, it's like you got to have some defenses, got to be doing some stuff. Rich,
can I ask one big question of everybody? Has Jade gotten any better?
Not marginally. Marginally.
I mean, everybody was hammering AEW.
I think Mike.
Everybody was hammering. Yeah, but everybody was hammering AEW trainers and all this, and the coaches and all that. Well, she didn't get any coaching. She didn't get better because the coaching sucked and all this kind of stuff. I have seen nothing in her in WWE that has made her any better than what she was in AEW.
Yeah, wrestling style wise, I feel like it's the same. Mike work a little better, a little bit better talking, in that aspect. But yeah, Mike ring work, pretty much kind of the same.
She just has better people to work with in the WWE. That's probably the biggest thing is her presentation is better because she has better people to work with.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean the biggest issue I see is it looks like she's like it's more of a timing issue, or I don't know if she's holding back because she's afraid she's going to maybe throw somebody too hard, or the power issue. But it seems like she's holding something back in herself, because it seems like she's thinking too much to where maybe when she gets into some bigger people like Nia Jax again, because that was a decent match that they had where she's not afraid of that, she can work a little bit more of a physical style. So I mean, she's just got to get used to it. I mean, I don't know that she's gotten a ton better, but like you said, with some different opponents, some bigger opponents that know a little bit better, the matches have been a little bit better than they were. Not necessarily her in particular.
Yeah, no, because she's a juggernaut. I mean, Jordan Grace, obviously, what she is in TNA is what Jade is like over in WWE. You call up, we talked about earlier, we were talking about NXT, you pull up a Roxanne Perez, and she's got to go against Jade. Like, that's like a rag doll to her, man. She take her, throw her up in the air, you know what I mean? So, no, I told her maybe it's holding it back and just not wanting to, throw someone too hard or hurt, or injure anybody. But I think, like, when Nia comes around, things like that, that should be good. Absolutely.
All I'm thinking is if you put Jade and Bianca one-on-one at WrestleMania, especially if they make it like a main event, that's going to be a turd to punch bowl. It's going to, that's going to absolutely be Bianca can do her thing, and Bianca can carry a match, but not with
that's
Jade.
why I've said from the beginning, when they do a turn, it needs to be Jade to be heel.
Yeah,
because she can stop trying to do the springboards. She can stop trying to do a lot of the more athletic stuff that she may not be ready for, and she can just ground and pound, and that would fit more her style a lot better. So she's definitely needs the one that needs to turn heel when they do the turn.
Yeah, she was amazing as a heel in AEW. Amazing. That's just like she's built for that. It was awesome. All right, so let's go. There's some good matches obviously on the rest of the card. So let's just go. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, the strap match, the grudge match, if you will. This one's tough, man. I don't know. This rivalry is certainly not done after Saturday. I'll tell you that much, no matter who wins or loses. So it's tough. I want to say CM Punk here. I don't know if he gets the bracelet back yet. I don't know if that's like he wins, he gets the bracelet back. That's kind of the feel-good moment. I think they have another match down the road for whether it be once the world title starts coming into the picture and they start going for that as contenders. But yeah, I have CM Punk going over here. It's tough. Drew could win as well. There's a lot of reason for him to win as well, but I think CM Punk gets the win here. What do you think, Matt?
Punk needs it for the sake of extending this rivalry. He took a solid ass whooping at SummerSlam, so I think this needs to be one where he wins. I don't care how he wins it, underhanded tactics, controversial, anything of the sort. But I think it needs to be Punk just so you can extend this, because right now Drew and Punk both aren't in the world title picture, so they can be at any moment's notice. But I don't think either one of those guys are going to impede on the reign of Gunther right now.
No, I agree. I think Gunther's gonna have a nice little long run here. Like, not as long as the IC title run, but he's definitely have a nice run here. Rich, how you see it?
Man, I had this whole vision in my head. You put the strap on, right? Well, Drew puts the strap over the bracelet, so Punk can't get to it. Punk
Watch
ends
them
up
do that,
winning
dude.
this thing, and he's so concerned about getting the strap off. Now, the Punk ends up winning this thing. Match 3, Hell in a Cell.
That would make sense. It's been a while since we've rolled one out, and Triple H has said we use it to end rivalries, like for once and for all. So that would make a lot of sense down the road. Probably at Bad Blood. Absolutely. Mike, how you thinking about it?
Yeah, I mean, just the progression of this feud. CM Punk has to win. Like Matt said, he took his ass whooping at SummerSlam. If Drew McIntyre wins the match here, what's his motivation to having a third match? The motivation there is just gone. I've already beat you twice. I've already shown I'm better than you. Why would I give you another match? It just makes more sense for CM Punk to win this. They're 1-1. You go to Bad Blood, like you said, Hell in a Cell. I think that's a perfect place to do it. Obviously, the name just makes more sense. Bad Blood. They're made for that. But in order to do that, CM Punk has to win here somehow, some way.
Awesome. Vinny?
I gotta agree that CM Punk needs to win. This way, again, like it's been said, they'll be tied 1-1, go to a blow-off match. I don't know if I necessarily go a Hell in a Cell. I would go more of a dog collar match, with the 2 chains in between. Similar to what Punk did with MJF. I think that Drew and Punk could really do some great work with that type of match. Save the Hell in a Cell for a world title or something, because you're going to need something. You're going to need a title in the Hell in a Cell. But I think that I'm going to say Punk wins, and then it just extends the rivalry.
Awesome. Let me ask you a question, though, aside from the matchup. How are we feeling about the new fan-friendly, putting everyone over CM Punk as opposed to the pipe bomb and controversial kind of CM Punk? I miss him, man. I'm hoping at some point he goes back to that. I don't know how I'm liking this whole fan-friendly. Love you guys so much. Thank you, kind of CM Punk. How you guys liking the gimmick so far?
I like it. I mean, it's a departure from the old CM Punk, but I think it's real to life of how he's actually feeling in WWE at this point. He was, he came back to AEW. He said he'd never go back to WWE. But once he saw how AEW was being run and got into the backstage altercations, not once, but twice, he's happy to be back in professional wrestling. He's happy to put over the younger talent, and happy to work with the younger talent. And at this point in his career, it's going to take a lot for people. Well, let me put it this way. He's polarizing right now. There's people that hate him, people that love him. But I think to get everybody to hate him might take some work. So I don't know if I think he's kind of past that point.
Awesome. Mike?
Yeah, I'd kind of agree. I mean, he's just happy being back there with all the turmoil with AEW. He finally got to come home. I think he, like you said, he wants this to be long term. It's already been mentioned in interviews and stuff like that he wants to be a trainer, things like that. Maybe wants to run NXT one day. So of course he's going to do everything he can to put the company over. And as long as they're doing things the way he thinks they should be done, which they are, I don't see any reason why he should go back. I like it personally because I think it's what he's really feeling.
Yeah, awesome. Matt?
I love it.
For
the simple fact that I know.
What's up?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm sorry.
Okay, my apologies. I'm sorry. I heard my name. So
I jumped the gun. No, you're good. That's my bad.
my bad, Rich. You're good. You're good, man. This whole shtick that he's got going on now is going to make it that much sweeter when he becomes on screen the Punk we all know. If he can balance that with actually still not being a douchebag behind the scenes, I think that makes it 10 times better. Because kayfabe is pretty much gone, as we all know. But when he goes to the egotistical Punk chasing the title, wanting to be on top again, it's going to make it that much better because he did the slow burn and reeled everybody in for the better part of a year. And it's going to work so much better than him coming in hot, from AEW and that cluster that he was in. It's going to make it a lot better of a turn when he does make that turn. When he starts the pipe bomb type of monologues and he starts, really going in on some of these people that are on the roster, it's going to make for good television.
I didn't think about that. That's actually that should be really good. Playing the long game and bringing him back in as the heel Punk. I like that. Rich,
Do it when John Cena comes back.
Yeah.
don't start playing with my emotions, man. I don't want to talk about it, man. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to see that man retire, man. Damn.
But what's also happening in a few weeks? Punk is going to be, when they go to Netflix and they change the whole dynamic of you can be a whole lot edgier, you can be a whole lot sharper, language can be changed a little bit. I think we're going to see that, even though he still will be a babyface, I think we're going to see a lot edgier Punk, a lot more direct Punk. You can tell some of the stuff that he's saying to McIntyre, he's got his tongue sitting there and he's holding it half the time because he has something he wants to say, but he knows USA isn't going to let it fly. Netflix will. And whenever he gets to where he can start doing those kinds of things, I think that's going to make a big difference too.
Could you imagine a feud between The Rock and Punk on Netflix?
Just was, not that The Rock
It would
cared
be like
this
an
past one, but get him on Netflix, man. Oh,
Yeah.
It would be like an episode of Banshee.
dude. What you say, boy? No, Dwayne, come on, man. That's gonna be awesome. That's a good call. I like that. I think the match that everyone's gonna be waiting for is the Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan versus Priest and Rhea. I think everyone's waiting for this. I think they're waiting for the Terror Twins to get their licks in on Dominic and Liv. I think this is easy. I think from what all the beatdowns that they're getting week after week, the past 2 or 3 of them, I think Damian and Rhea go over here. It's going to be good. I'm sure some more of the Judgment Day will come down and get the new Judgment Day will get involved. They'll kick their ass too. But I think Rhea and Damian get some little satisfaction. Rhea finally gets her hands on Dominic, does some damage. So I have those two going over by a mile. What do you guys think, Matt?
I've been struggling with this one because, like you said, they've been taking the beatdowns. But something tells me that just to keep the heat and the eyes on this feud, I think Dom and Liv pull this out. Just for that simple fact that I don't think they're going to have the payoff where Rhea and Damian go over just yet. That could be this could kind of be like one of those situations where we talked about earlier in the show where you could put all 4 of them in the Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood, and have that pay off that way. That would be a drawing point to the end of that feud and having everybody kind of move on. I don't think Rhea and Damian go over right now. I think they go over on the next encounter.
Cool. I like it. Mike?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I think it's going to be Liv and Dom with a lot of interference from the Judgment Day. I think it more sets up, especially with the way they did it on Monday Night Raw. If you noticed, it was Finn, Dom, and Liv kind of got out of the ring and let JD and Carlito be cannon fodder. I think they kind of let them sacrifice them, Sunday or Saturday as a distraction. Finn kind of comes in and jumps on Damian with a ref distraction, sets up Finn and Damian for Bad Blood, and maybe a Liv and Rhea there, and then you let Dom just kind of be on the sidelines, kind of a rematch of SummerSlam, or even if you wanted maybe a Rhea and Dom match, or if Rhea wins, she gets a title shot at Liv kind of thing, just down the road. But I think Liv and Dom go over here with a lot of Judgment Day interference just to keep that heat going, like Matt said.
That makes a lot of sense too, especially with Bad Blood right down the road. It's like 3 weeks after this one, so no, that makes a lot of sense. Vinny, how do you see everything going down?
I need to agree with the room at this point. Liv and Dom going over. There is going to be a lot of interference from the Judgment Day, or it could just be Rhea's emotions getting the best of her, so she goes to attack Dom, but Liv is behind her to roll her up, kind of flipping on that proverbial banana peel, because that's the bigger feud. There's really no feud between Dom and Damian outside of the fact that Damian's not in the Judgment Day anymore. The bigger feud is Liv and Rhea. So I think if you have Liv go over on Rhea because of her emotions, Rhea's emotions getting the best of her, then that's going to set up the blow off, which will be, Liv and Rhea for the title, and then Damian can get back into the world title picture if that's the way they go, or it could be Damian and Finn. But this feud's just not over yet.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely think Damian probably gets his hands on Finn first in a match, and then probably if he does, that's when they kind of insert him back into any kind of world title picture run for that. Rich, how you see that going down, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I have to look at it from the standpoint, if they were really going to put Damian in there with his quote rival, it would be Finn, not Dominic. And I think you're going to have interference from Judgment Day, the new Judgment Day. Can I throw a name out there, though, who could be a part of this thing that has been a part of stuff with Priest and these guys before, who is not currently on tour right now? What about if Bad Bunny jumps into this thing to kind of help really stir the pot a little bit? International star. I got news for you. He's not bad. He's not bad in the ring. I mean, he really put a lot of effort into doing this stuff. He could maybe play a little bit of messing with old JD and Finn. I'll tell you what, though, I think Rhea beats Liv. I think Rhea pins Liv.
Okay, awesome. Now let me ask you this: like, speaking of Liv and Rhea, that's perfect, actually. But we talked about her going for her title shot. Do you think they extend this Liv Rhea rivalry? Do you think they stretch it to WrestleMania, or when do you guys think Rhea finally gets her shot at redemption and getting that belt back from Liv? You guys just open it. Like,
I think it's a Royal Rumble.
Rumble?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think it makes it all the way. I don't think it has legs for Mania.
It doesn't, because I don't think Liv's going to be champion come Mania.
All right.
No, I mean, I think Rhea gets it back. And at the Rumble, there's a lot. Everybody's talking about all this stuff about the Rumble and all that kind of stuff, and they're forgetting that there is one very, very viable 6-foot piece that's coming back for the Rumble, and that's Charlotte Flair.
God.
Yeah, the Queen.
And Charlotte Rhea at Mania. That's
running
that's
it back.
Office. That's box office. So Charlotte wins
I am
the
also
Rumble.
Rhea band.
Huh? Say what?
I'm sorry. I'm a little delayed right now. I'm sorry.
No worries.
My Wi-Fi.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I think them going back to WrestleMania would be awesome. Running it back like that, because her winning it from Charlotte at Mania, so them going back to run that would be awesome. I think that would be amazing, amazing match. Awesome. So with that being said, we'll go into one of the first world title matches. Gunther, Randy Orton. Obviously, Randy Orton wasn't actually pinned at the King of the Ring. So I think there's a lot we can talk about. How Randy Orton should have a last run, get his run. It's not happening on Saturday. I'm sorry. Gunther is entrenched in for a long run. Like I said, not something like the IC title, but definitely a lengthy run to establish him as a main event player. I have Gunther here, far and away. I'm sure it's gonna be an amazing match. They're making it personal in the past couple promos, past couple weeks with each other, which is going to be awesome. Randy's always good when the lights are on bright. He's in the main event, or co-main event, I should say. But I have Gunther going away. Rich, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a heck of a match. It might actually be the match of the night. I could see this being 30, 45 minutes and beating the crap out of each other the whole time. But I think Gunther wins it clean. I don't see any shenanigans or anything like that. I mean, Ludwig Kaiser is a waste of time and natural resources. I don't see him making any sort of difference in that match. But I don't see Gunther losing the title. I could see him being the champ going to WrestleMania. I could see him being the world champ at WrestleMania and getting a Seth or a Bronson Reed or whoever. But yeah, I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I think match of the night, but give me Gunther to go over.
Awesome. I like that. WrestleMania is a very, very, very fair prediction. Matt, what do you think?
Gunther starts off his title reign with a bang. And I think this is going to be one of those slower paced Randy Orton style matches that I think Gunther, adjusts to rather well. A lot of hard hitting, a lot of stiff shots. I believe that Gunther comes out clean. I'm curious as to the finish because we all know Gunther's finisher is the powerbomb with like the fold pin. And Orton being now 300 pounds and, coming off that back surgery, I'm just kind of curious as to, is Orton going to actually eat that kind of thing, or is it going to be, something different than what we're used to with the normal Gunther match?
Well, I think Gunther also has the submission finisher as well, so he could maybe do some kind of weird power bomb and then hit him with the maybe lock him into a submission as well. So it could be that as well. But no, that's definitely going to affect the outcome. Vinny, what do you think?
I got to go with Gunther here. And just for the simple point that they're going to have Gunther build the title reign to not even just build the credibility of the title, but to build his credibility. He's beating former champion leading up to, an eventual defense against, at Mania. I think that, this is just step one, beating Randy Orton. If you could beat Randy Orton, then you're going to go on and beat somebody else. Maybe they're going to have, Gunther versus John Cena at, let's say, the Royal Rumble, or, just to build that credibility. Because my hope is that next year for Mania, it's going to be Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. And, you have Gunther go over, to just prove his dominance.
That'd be an awesome match, actually. That should be pretty good with those two bulls, man, in the ring.
Yeah.
You talk about beating the snot out of each other. Goodness.
Oh, that would be the Suplex City, Chop City. Oh, dude, these guys they'd be blown up after 20 minutes, man. It'd be an awesome match. Mike, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, the same as everybody else. I don't see there's any way Gunther loses. I mean, the whole reason we have this match is because of, to clear up the blemish, quote unquote, on the reign of the King of the Ring / now the new World Heavyweight Championship. And more importantly is the reason why we're having the match. 5 years ago, this is something we wouldn't have seen. We would have just been told to forget about King of the Ring, forget about that botch pin, and just never mention it again. And now with this new era, that's the more important thing to me in the match is acknowledging it, fixing it, coming back and bringing it back to what's going to be another great match, and letting that blemish be fixed and repaired in real time in a match. Let Gunther go over, have the title reign, until WrestleMania or whenever. But just like I said, more importantly, just the reason we're having it just shows the new era we're in as a whole.
No, I agree. Not only is this the storytelling era, but everything counts on television. Everything you see now, you got people looking in the background now, looking for Easter eggs, who's talking to each other. The whole thing I did with Gable before he got with the Creed brothers. So just now you're looking for Uncle Howdy signs everywhere, like little symbols. So yeah, no, definitely, I agree. I like how they go back and they tie it all together, put a bow on it. Okay, now we can move on because this wrong has been righted. So I like that. So obviously what I think is going to be in the main event, I won't see how it isn't, obviously. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens. I think Cody wins here, but I don't think that's the most important part of the match. I think we all know what's going to happen. But so I'll go to you guys, give me who you think's going to win, but also, do you think there's a turn here? Do you think this is where Kevin Owens goes back to being heel Kevin Owens. So a lot of things being talked about right now. If he has his contract hasn't been extended yet, he hasn't signed a new one. If he's even staying with WWE, I think he stays. I don't think he goes anywhere, honestly. But is there a turn? Obviously, Cody's probably not going to go heel right now, not as being the champion, not a good place for it. So does Kevin Owens turn and kind of do some nefarious things to kind of, I told you I didn't want this, and now look what you made me do. Matt, what do you think?
I don't think he goes completely old school heel, but I think that he eventually, I think he starts to show some cracks in the good guy facade that he's got going on, for lack of a better term. I don't think Cody drops this soon. I don't think Cody does a heel turn. He's too much of a money printing machine as a good guy for the company. But I think KO, this might be the catalyst event that sends him back to his roots, so to speak.
Awesome. Vinny, what do you think?
I definitely know that I know that Cody's going over. I don't see Kevin Owens getting the title, but I could see Owens turning on Cody, but I could also see them kind of going against the grain where everybody thinks that Owens is going to turn on him. I think it could just be a competitive match. They shake hands at the end and they leave as friends, because that's what nobody else is thinking is going to happen. I do prefer Owens, even though I'm a huge Owens fan. I do prefer Owens as a heel because I think he's better as, he's just one of those guys that's better as the heel, the dastardly stuff that he does, because he's a believable heel, but he's also a believable babyface too when he's got the right story. So I'm not going to say that he's going to turn. I think it's going to be a competitive match. Cody wins out in the end. They shake hands and move on as friends.
I like it. Could definitely happen. Rich, how say you?
I think we're going to see Cody wins. Honestly, I could see Cody winning by DQ. And here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Go back to Steen and Generico. Go back to when Owens turned on Sami Zayn and you wanted this, you made me do this, da-da-da-da-da-da, took the title, shoved it in his face. You made me do this, da-da-da. And I think we're going to see something similar to that with this, where Owens is going to get 2 counted and 2 counted and 2 counted. He's going to do the frog splash. He's going to do the swanton. He's going to do the pop-up power bomb. He's going to do the cutter. And every time Cody kicks out at 2.5, 2 3/4. And finally, he's just had enough. Grabs the belt, waffles Cody with the belt or something similar, gets DQ'd, and just absolutely demolishes Cody and gets in his face and says, you asked for this. You wanted this. Now you've got it. Are you happy? And go from there.
Now I'm hoping that's what happens. Now that's what I want. That's kind of what I want to see now on Saturday. Awesome. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not missing any matches this time, right, guys? These are the only 5 they have announced. Did you, on a side note, did you guys happen to see last night between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed? Did you guys see that match?
Yes.
Dude. Wow.
They said they were planning on something big. I thought it was going to be the ring breaking again.
Oh, well, no, they talked about they were putting over how they reinforced it. So I feel like, okay, now we got to do it bigger and better and hit the tsunami on the car. Dude. Oh, wow.
Can you tell a little bit of a difference between Trips and VKM?
Yeah.
Bronson Reed?
Yes, we can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Man.
Oh, my God. Bronson Reed was a freaking joke with Vince, and he's getting done, like I talked about a little while ago. He's the beast that he should be, and they got him destroying everything and anything in sight.
He's another one. Once he gets his hands on a belt, man, he's going to have a nice little run with that because he is very much that indestructible kind of guy where it's going to take everything you got and then some to put him down for a 1, 2, 3.
I'd like to see him and Gunther.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. There's some legitimate big, like back in the day when we're talking about VKM, the big dudes were, the big muscle guys, the big guys who go jack, like put up for. Now there's just legitimate big dudes that you want to see get in the ring, just meat after meat, big horses just throwing each other around. I love it.
Hey, speaking of big dudes, you saw the memorial yesterday that WWE did for
Yeah.
Sid.
Yeah.
For
R.I.P.
Sid.
man.
Yeah, good dude. I got a chance to work with him a couple times in Memphis, and good dude.
Yeah,
Funny guy. But
I think he's gonna be coming around. I think in March I was gonna try to go. Like, it's unfortunate, but yeah, great dude, man. He was awesome. Not only inside the ring, but he was amazing outside too. He was a good guy. Really good dude.
we did a remote where him and Lawler were going at it when they were trying to get Minglewood Hall was where they were doing Memphis wrestling. And he showed up because the sporting goods store I was at was like 4 blocks from his house. He shows up and I'm doing the break and he's talking noise, all kind of stuff on Lawler and all that. Next thing you know, you see this black Lincoln come ripping in the parking lot. Lawler. And they're starting in the store. The store owner is losing her mind because she has no idea. I have full idea what's happening. She has no clue what's going on. They're throwing clothes racks all over the place. She's getting bats and batting helmets and all this stuff thrown at guys. And they were building up the match for that night.
They were making that cool
Sid's
before Austin and Booker
Huh?
made it cool to go throw each other around a supermarket.
Yeah, but I mean, Sid's legit. I mean, people talk about his size. He's legit 6'9".
He was a tall dude, man. He was a big guy, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, hey, listen, I appreciate you guys coming out, man. This is awesome. Love we got to talk about a couple of PLEs, like I said, this weekend. Won't keep you any longer. I'll go down the line. Just tell everyone where we can find you guys, what are you guys doing for your podcast, stuff like that. Matt, we'll start with you.
Thanks for having me on, John. Fellas, it was good talking wrestling with you guys. Always a pleasure. You can find me, on the Driving to the Top Productions podcasting network. I'm usually shooting once or twice a week with my All Things Baltimore Sports. Got a really good interview coming up later on in the next couple of weeks with Chad Coleman. He's an actor that played Dennis Wise on The Wire, and he was in The Walking Dead. So I'll be interviewing him soon. Be on the lookout for that. But other than that, I'm at BWATB Podcast. Shoot me a follow if you care to. And thanks again for having me on, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate you, man. Rich, where can we find you at?
Find me here on Driving to the Top Productions with Pirates Chat. Myself and Adam do a show every Wednesday. Of course, open mic night on Tuesday nights. You never know where that thing is going to end up. We go all over the place, literally.
It's everywhere.
Twitter at Go Big Go Home Pod. Check me out there. Facebook, it's Rich Richardson. Like, follow, all that good stuff, and putting up as much content as possible. And maybe even try doing my own little thing here before it's all said and done.
Awesome. Mike, again, the birthday boy. Where can we find you at, my man?
Yes, sir. I'm on all socials at _Big Mike 27. It's also on YouTube at _Big Mike 27 or the Run In Podcast. I'm right now working on a nail down date for a weekly show for there. Right now I'm doing some top 5 things just to kind of keep everything going. I'm also on the Thursday night tag team where we do predictions and talk about wrestling and everything like that every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Also, you'll be able to see me on the Herb and Raj Podcast Network. We're doing some college football stuff as well. But yeah, just look me up. You follow me on socials. I love interacting with people, and I appreciate you guys letting me come on.
Awesome. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Last but certainly not least, Vinny, where can everyone find you at, my man?
Find me on Twix at Vinny Suds, VINNIE, Suds or Suds SQ Circle Pod. Follow YouTube, youtube.com/@Suds and the Squared Circle. Doing multiple soap opera podcasts and working on getting a wrestling podcast nailed down with you. So we're working on that. And then just a lot of content, working on getting more content up to Patreon as well, which is patreon.com/@Suds in the Squared Circle. So just a lot coming down the pike.
Beautiful. Awesome stuff. And of course, if you guys are watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can find myself, Johnny Anthony, on all socials at Chairshot Sports, doing weekly recaps and predictions and roundtables for any PLEs or pay-per-views coming up. You can also find me every Tuesday on Twitter at 9 o'clock doing open mic night or Driving Top Productions. So guys, again, if you're not following any of the guys here in the room, definitely they're all good friends of Chairshot Sports and great content, guys. So guys, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we will definitely all be talking soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.